the top somehow. My Straight Talk family, when you hear that theme song, you know it's time for another edition of Straight Talk. And I did promise that tonight would be my last program, or the last edition for 2020. I did also promise that we'll have a special guest in studio tonight. And we normally keep our promises, so fear not. Let me welcome you wherever you are in St. Kitts and Nevis, throughout the entire Caribbean, and a matter of fact, throughout the world. We certainly will have a shortened version tonight because of circumstances beyond our control. And because we promise you that we'll be here, we are here. And with me in studio, I have Dr. Hazel Laws, who is in fact the Chief Medical Officer. I'll get tell you more about Dr. Laws in a moment from now. But welcome to my Straight Talk family, wherever you are in the world, in the Kiddishan and the Bajan diaspora. We do as well simulcast via Sugar City FM St. Kitts. For those of you who are on the World Wide Web, on ZIZ Online St. Kitts, I say welcome. You have listeners in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, and a whole lot of you are all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good morning. I can say good night, or I can say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. I'm not going to I'll put aside the thrills, but just to inform you as well, Straight Talk, if you're a first-timer, we normally have first-timers. Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we entertain your calls, we entertain your emails, and in the event you so wish to call us, the numbers are 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. 465-2555, that's one number. There are three lines, and we have our overseas line, 718-577-2916. And for those who, as I normally say, like the cloak of anonymity, we give you access via our email platform, which is zizstraighttalk@gmail.com. That's one word, zizstraighttalk@gmail.com. So I want to perhaps go to our guests tonight and welcome Dr. Laws, Dr. Hazel Laws, our Chief Medical Officer. And I really want to apologize to her on behalf of everyone, because we did have Parliament today, and Parliament is one of the most, if not the most important institution in the country, and dealing with the appropriation bill, which gives the authority gives the authority to spend our money. And that went on to about 8 o'clock or after. So I won't spend much more time except to welcome Dr. Laws, and I again apologize, and I thank you to show you how important you mean to her. she stood around waiting on us and to tell us about a very, very important topic tonight, which is our battle with the coronavirus, our battle with the COVID-19 pandemic. And Lady Laws, a pleasant night to you, and welcome to Straight Talk.
Good night, Mr. Ian Patches Liburd. I want to say thank you for inviting me to speak with you tonight about our battle against this coronavirus disease or COVID-19. I also want to take this opportunity to say a warm good night to all of our listeners, to all who are tuned in on the various media platforms. Good night, everyone.
And again, welcome to you, Dr. Laws. And I know that you are known via national media and social media as well, and you have received the Companion of the Star of Merit for National Service in Crisis, and along with two other persons in that same category, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson and Abdia Samuels, who is head of the NEMA, beg your pardon. And obviously that crisis is one that we are battling with as a federation, and you have been rewarded, so to speak, because of the human service you have done in relation to controlling that particular pandemic here in St. Kitts. But apart from seeing you, apart from hearing you all over and all the media, I still want you to tell our listeners, our viewers, who is Dr. Hazel Laws?
Wow. Well, I'll answer by saying that I am the daughter of Mr. Franklin Laws, who has since passed, and Mrs. Idris Laws, founders and owners of Laws Bookstore that is located on Keon Street. I was actually born on Mansion Estate. I actually went to the Molyneux Primary School, now renamed the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School, and then I went on to the convent school. I transferred from the convent school to the Bastia High School round about third form. So I attended Bastia High School from third form to sixth form before leaving the Federation for tertiary level training at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. I would have returned home in September 2016, and since then I have been serving in this present position. So that's just a brief summary of who I am.
Okay, so we now know that CMO Laws is homegrown.
Yes.
For those who are asking that particular
Yes.
question. And
Yes.
I am very cautious. I almost said country girl, but
Well, you can. I
Okay.
grew up on a plantation,
Okay, okay.
Mansion Estate, because my dad was the manager of Mansion Estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're sister to Dr. Laws, Mervyn and
Yes,
Red.
I am.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I
yeah.
am.
Now we've heard so much about this COVID or coronavirus, right? And off radio, we even had a discussion, you and I, about the symptoms and the asymptomatic people and what have you, right? But in the beginning, we thought it was just another flu, because around this time or that time back then is what we call the flu season. But it panned out to be something else. So tell us a little bit about the symptoms. Although we heard so much about the symptoms of this coronavirus, perhaps you can help us with the ordinary people.
Okay, so that's a very good question. So in essence, you're asking what are the signs and symptoms of coronavirus or COVID-19? Well, I'll begin by saying that a significant proportion of persons who are impacted by this virus, they really do not have any symptoms. And I think, well, in St. Kitts, we've reported 30 cases, and a significant proportion of these 30 individuals, they didn't exhibit any signs or symptoms. So that's interesting. But those who have, or those individuals who do exhibit signs and symptoms, these include sore throat, runny nose, some complain of fever and chills. There's usually a cough. They may experience fatigue or malaise, lack of energy, muscle aches and pains. They can complain of headache, new onset of the loss of sense of taste and smell. And that's interesting. So all along you'll be, eating normally, and then all of a sudden there's no taste or smell. As a matter of fact, one of the 30 cases, I think that was his only symptom, loss of sense of smell and taste. Some complain of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and shortness of breath or difficulty breathing. And if that progresses, they can go on to complain of a persistent pain or pressure in the chest. So these are the main symptoms of this disease.
Interesting. You said one of the cases.
Yeah.
So give us an update on the exact disposition as we speak. We hear so many things and so many bad news around us. What's happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis?
All right, so in St. Kitts and Nevis thus far, as a federation, we have confirmed 30 cases of COVID-19, 20 for St. Kitts, 10 for Nevis. To date, 25 of these 30 cases have recovered nicely with 0 deaths. So at present, we only have 5 active cases. And it's, we are pleased to note that they are stable and they are being monitored carefully. So that's just a summary as to what's happening locally. We continue testing. We continue with our contact tracing in terms of these individuals who they would have interacted with. And so we continue our robust program of contact tracing.
So if my mathematics is accurate or good enough, we've had 11 cases since we opened the borders or reopened the borders.
Yeah, we were at case 19 when we
okay.
opened our borders
Right.
on October the 31st.
When you consider what's happening around us, though Dr. Laws, in terms of the what they call the gradual second wave, that is, what concern would you have as the CMO?
Okay, well, I'm happy that it's just a gradual rise, and I'm really hoping and praying that it continues in this vein. However, now that our borders are open, we continue receiving flights on a daily basis. We receive flights or charters from our neighboring islands, and we are receiving incoming commercial flights from the United Kingdom, the United States of America. And as you are aware, these are at present hotspots for the COVID-19. You asked about the status locally, but if you don't mind, if I can share with you what's the status regionally. Just last week, we got word coming out of Grenada that they would have identified a surge in the number of cases of COVID-19. And these cases were all related to one particular hotel or resort on that island. If I'm not mistaken, they've now identified over 51 cases within a 14-day period or within the last fortnight. That's Grenada, bringing their total to a little over 100, I think 103. In terms of St. Lucia had a similar experience a few weeks ago. They too identified a surge in the number of cases. They seem to be getting it under control. Within the past 14 days, they would have confirmed about 70 newly diagnosed cases, bringing their total to about 282. St. Vincent, their number, recently they've confirmed 17 cases, bringing their total number of confirmed cases to about 104. Barbados is around about approximately 307 cases. Antigua and Barbuda recently had 8 cases diagnosed within the last 14 days, bringing their total to about 152. So that just gives you an idea as to what's happening in the islands, or neighboring islands. Within the Caribbean region, over 329,000 confirmed cases have been reported and over 5,525 deaths. And internationally, the total number of confirmed cases today or this evening, approximately 75.7 million confirmed cases internationally, and in terms of the death toll, approximately 1.69 million deaths. And 17.9 million of these cases reside in the United States of America, and over 318,000 deaths have been reported by the United States of America alone. So that's just a snapshot with regards to the present status of the COVID-19 in terms of numbers, but just for some additional information and to give some hope. We have 2 vaccine candidates being rolled out as we speak. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was rolled out recently, and the Moderna vaccine is being administered in the United States as we speak. So that's good news.
No, yes, but getting back though, even before we go to the vaccine, when you look at and you just outline what's happening around the Caribbean, coupled with the fact that having reopened our borders, the most of the flights, if not all the flights, are coming from hotspots, as we say. So we can as well experience the same spike if unless we are doing something that's absolutely foolproof. I don't know if that exists. So what are you worried though, or should we be worried as a country? Are you worried as the chief medical officer in terms of the possibility of having a surge in particular? And you mentioned the UK, and I've heard something about some second strain. Perhaps you can even address that for us. Can you?
Okay. So yes, I am concerned about the spikes that have been realized in our neighboring islands, because the risk of that happening here in our federation is very real and it's high. Because as I said before, our borders are open. We are receiving flights from neighboring islands where there are cases, and predominantly from the United States of America and United Kingdom. And so the risk of our re-importing the virus is high. Between October the 31st and present, we would have received over 1,000 inbound passengers, so in particular 1,105 inbound passengers. In terms of flights, we would have received 364 inbound flights between October 31st and present. Just on this past weekend, we had over 238 passengers coming into the Federation, and majority of those came in from the United States of America. And so the risk of bringing in the virus is very real. And so what are we doing? Well, we continue to be guided by our health and travel protocols, which I dare say are very robust, and we are requesting or insisting that inbound passengers provide us a negative RT-PCR test done within 72 hours of travel. So that's one safeguard, because the older the pre-arrival test, the higher the risk of bringing in a case that's positive. And so we are, insisting that it's within that 72 window. So that's important. And then once the
Do you
inbound,
take all the tests, no?
we try our best not to. No. In terms of the inbound passenger, once they would have landed, we continue serial testing. And so you will be tested day 7 and day 14 once you are in quarantine or if you're vacationing in place. We continue robust contact tracing, and we monitor the operations at the COVID-19 certified hotels. So we are working very closely with the management of these hotels and monitoring what's happening, just to reduce the risk of an outbreak on any of these properties.
What could have happened though, right? As you mentioned, the tests shouldn't be older than 72 hours, right? What could have happened back then? Well, I've heard, unless my interpretation is inaccurate, we've had arrivals. They obviously would have met the protocols in terms of providing the particular PCR test, right? But within a period of time, 3-4 days, something happened and you found a positive case. What could have happened in an instance like that?
Okay, all right. So you can do a test 72 hours prior to arrival, and then once you would have traveled, because traveling at this time is a risk. And so during your travel, you're traversing the airports, and you would have, traveled on the conveyance, the airplane. You may take 1 or 2 flights to get here. And so that's a risk. And so you can contract the virus just through the process of traveling. All right. And so individuals would have come into country, and we would have picked up some within 7 days. Others we would have picked up between 7 and 14 days since they would have landed. All right, so they would have brewed the infection, and then we would have picked them up within the incubation period of COVID-19.
Now, as you mentioned, the quarantine period, and I am a candidate of that. I would declare, I'm prompted here by one of our Facebook listeners, and we welcome you on Facebook. And this one said, "Hey, Patches, ask the CMO as to the lengthening the 3-day to 5-day negative pre-travel tests and reducing the quarantine time from 14 days to 7, and if needed, be further home quarantine with a bracelet such as what Antigua now uses, even at a cost." How do you react to that?
Okay, the science tells us that a pre-arrival COVID test that's older than 72 hours is really null and void. So if you lengthen it to 5 days, the risk of bringing in individuals who are false negatives, or in other words positives, would increase. All right, and so we are strongly advised by the Caribbean Public Health Agency, the Pan American Health Agency, and even the World Health Organization. You need to, stick to the requirement of that pre-arrival test being done within 72 hours of travel. The risk of our numbers surging will be higher if we, accept older tests. Now, in terms of the quarantine period, the gold standard remains 14 days. Actually, the incubation period of the disease is 14 days on an average, but it can be as long as 21 to 24 days. And so if you were to reduce the quarantine period, you will be officially releasing individuals to integrate into your society who are in fact positive. And then you will eventually have community transmission before you know it. And so it's not advisable right now to reduce the quarantine period or the vacation in place period to lower than the 14 days.
I think we've heard you loud and clear. You touched earlier briefly on the development of the COVID-19 vaccines, the Moderna and the Pfizer, right? And respectfully, and the world's first authorization for shots, have already been granted. We've learned of the down payment by our government, team unity government, in respect of our own procurement of that vaccine. $800,000 to be exact, if I remember, that's what the Prime Minister made mention of, right? But tell us what we can expect in St. Kitts Nevis in terms of a vaccine, and tell us a little bit of the modalities. How would it be done? Would there be priority, or would be people just volunteering in respect of the administering of the vaccine? Tell us a little bit how and when, as well, would we expect to have the vaccine here in St. Kitts Nevis?
Okay, so very good questions. All right, so I'll begin by just highlighting the first vaccine candidate that was approved or that received emergency use authorization is the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine that was rolled out in the United Kingdom, the USA, Canada. I think that started on December the 8th. And then more recently, we noted the rollout of the Moderna vaccine candidate that just recently got emergency use authorization. And those of, we are aware that these two vaccines are being administered to frontline healthcare workers in these countries. They are being administered to residents in long-term care facilities or nursing homes and older adults with comorbidities, with multiple chronic medical conditions. All right? And so in the Caribbean member states like ours, St. Kitts and Nevis, we are participants in the COVAX facility, which is really a global or an international facility that is providing us the opportunity to access vaccines. All right, and so we had to sign on to this facility, sign the legal document, and most importantly, pay the down payment on October the 9th, as you just correctly stated. Now, in this facility, in the initial instance, you would have access to enough vaccines for approximately 20% of your population. Yeah? Because it goes without saying, the demand for the vaccine at present will outstrip the supply. And so as the manufacturing companies of the vaccine continue producing, in the initial instance, you won't have enough vaccine for everybody in the world, over 7 point something billion. And so the aim is to at least make sure the first 20% of the world's population have access to this vaccine. Yeah? And so if that is the case, you realize that there would need to be some method of prioritization. And I think locally we will follow suit in terms of prioritizing who will be, first in line, etc. In keeping with what we are seeing in the United Kingdom and the United States. Now, we recently attended a meeting and we had a representative from the World Health Organization SAGE Working Group, and he assured us that the Caribbean region can expect to receive its vaccines by as early as the beginning of the second quarter of 2021. Yeah? And so the Pan American Health Organization is working with member states to help us to reach to that level of readiness so that when the vaccines are available, they can be deployed and administered. All right, and so in St. Kitts, we have a National Immunization Committee, and we are in the process of developing our national COVID-19 vaccine deployment and immunization plan such that we will be ready when the vaccines become available. And then, of course, the deployment of such a vaccine as this will have to be, it would be preceded by an education campaign. We really would have to inform the public and provide, all the available information about this vaccine such that individuals can make an informed decision, in terms of their readiness to accept, and be vaccinated.
And what period in terms of deployment, deployment of the vaccine we are looking at? I mean, well, it won't be here.
Well, okay, we are expecting it to be available by about April, May of the beginning of the second quarter of 2021. And so we have, a little time in order for us to get ready for that. So that as soon as it becomes available, it will be deployed and the vaccination campaign will begin.
And the campaign, I would imagine, would aim at vaccinating a certain percentage.
In the initial instant, approximately 20%.
Of the population?
We are hoping that we have access to that amount, at least 20% of our population in the initial instance.
So that's about 11,000 people.
About.
So I'm getting to the point though. So you're getting to 20%,
yeah.
Right? And I would imagine April, May, it would take you some time to
administer
right?
those.
So the next 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
So you're talking about August, September.
We are being hopeful.
So then the quarantine would go on until August, September. I'm getting to that point. Let's be honest.
The quarantine. Okay. Well, let's back up a bit. When you look at the details about the vaccine, at present, the manufacturers of the two leading candidates, they tell you that the vaccine really prevents severe COVID-19 disease and it prevents death. Okay? There's still much information that's lacking. There are some data gaps regarding the vaccine in terms of if you receive the vaccine, does it really prevent you picking up the disease? The answer to that, they're not sure. They're not absolutely sure. If an individual is vaccinated, does the vaccine prevent you from spreading or transmitting the disease to somebody else? The answer to that, they're not absolutely sure. All right? And so because of, and then even the level of immunity that one mounts to the vaccine and the duration of time for which the immunity that is mounted lasts is still up in the air. They're not absolutely sure. So there's quite a significant data gap regarding the vaccines. However, there is hope because over the next few months, they'll be collecting data and information, and we are hoping that all these questions can eventually be answered. So until these questions are answered, there isn't any real significant change in what the interventions that we are employing in terms of the measures in terms of wearing the face mask, hand hygiene, physical and social distancing. We have to continue these measures at present. And we have to continue in terms of the quarantining because of the data gaps and the uncertainty with respect to the answers to these questions.
What will happen? Someone asks me if someone comes to St. Kitts who already received the vaccine, will they still require to quarantine?
Yes, they would.
They would?
Because having received the vaccine, there's no guarantee that you won't pick up the infection. There's no guarantee that you didn't pick up the infection on the flight that you just came off. And there's no guarantee that you can't transmit the infection to somebody else. So because of those uncertainties, you will still have to be quarantined.
And I'm hearing the question from outside there, right? Is that it seems, if I can interpret your proposition for now, that even though the vaccine will be available to us, hopefully in April, May, right? We still won't be able to balance our health and our safety and the economy, immediately.
We won't,
We
no.
won't, right? So, although in reality, some of the other countries, even the Caribbean, they have gone a different path to us, albeit some have suffered. So, but the fact that if we keep at a particular level in terms of the contracting of the disease, would you, as the CMO and your HEOC team, be willing to relax some of these protocols in terms of it's a balance that has to be struck, if you see what I'm getting at.
I hear you, and this is what I would propose. We are in a good place in that we're able to contain the first wave, and this second wave, it's manageable. The numbers are increasing at a slow pace, and we are hoping that through our robust protocols that this slow pace will continue, as opposed to seeing a rapid or exponential surge, which is what we do not want. All right, so that's good. However, we have to continue the prevention measures that we've been recommending over the past couple of months in order to make sure that we contain the virus and prevent spread and prevent community transmission. If we hold strain over the next few months and the data the data gaps regarding the vaccine is filled, and that we can be assured that the vaccine prevents transmission and more persons become vaccinated, then we can achieve that balance between public health interventions and allowance of economic activity. We will be in a better position. So I am recommending that as a federation, I'm asking our people to just hold strain and let's just fight our way over the next few months. Without seeing an exponential surge in cases, we would be in a fairly good position.
So we keep hope alive.
Yes.
Keep hope alive. Now I'm gonna. You won't be here for too long. No, it's past your bedtime. You seem like an always sleeper. Don't ask me how I know that. And so I will entertain some calls as well, Dr. Laws, if you agree. I always like to ask my callers, though, before I open the lines, which I'll do in a couple minutes from now, that I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourself. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us, in the process, in the things we say and or do, we trust it will be beneficial to all concerned. And as well as you say and do those things, I anticipate you will strive to build a kinder Gentler, St. Kitts and Nevis. The phones are going, but I want to ask you this question, or perhaps I'll go to the lines. Caller, you live.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good evening to
yeah.
everybody.
You have a radio and
Yes,
equipment in the
yes,
background,
sir. Yes,
please.
sir.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Good evening to you, Honorable Patches and Honorable Dr. Mrs. Laws. Now, Miss Laws, I want to thank you and your team for the good work you set out to do on the island of St. Kitts. But when you came here, you never know was this kind of procedure you was running into. And between you and your team, you all has done a good job by trying and keeping the whole the federation safe between St. Kitts and Nevis. So with that, I will want to congratulate you and your team together and the government of St. Kitts to get everybody on the thing. So I wish you and your team the best, a happy Christmas, prosperous New Year, and looking forward to see you in the new year to come. And God bless you and your family and your friends and everybody who is around you. You don't get these kind of people that easy. You're God sent. Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you, Patches, to give me the opportunity to speak to her.
Thank you for your intervention as well, my dear brother, the king of the people's king. Let's go back to the lines at 15 past the 10 o'clock hour. Caller, you are live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd, and the Dr. Laws, the CMO. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you both when they come.
Thank
Just
you.
a concern that I have, Dr. Laws, in that the quarantine practices of St. Kitts Nevis seem to be a little bit inconsistent. When you go to OTI, some persons who go in there, they're locked into their rooms for 14 days. Nobody comes in, they don't get out of their rooms, no cleaners coming to do anything of the sort. By contrast, as a result, they're very isolated from anybody at all for the 14 days. By contrast, I understand, and this has come from about 4 different persons have told me this, persons who have been quarantined at the Royal St. Kitts. When they're there, they're allowed to leave their quarters, their rooms, go down to the bar, go to the swimming pool, cleaners and that sort of thing come in and clean their rooms and that kind of thing. I believe that kind of practice opens opportunity for community spread, if I'm not mistaken. We've seen a situation like that in Grenada, in the Sandals Hotel. Why is the practice different between OTI and the Royal St. Kitts Hotel? I'll listen off here.
Thank you very much, caller. I think we should address that one time because it's something we need to dispense of pretty quickly. Doctor.
Yes. All right. So, very good observation and a very good question in terms of explaining the difference. And so, we had to open our borders, and again, we had to, devise protocols that would facilitate some economic activity as well as containing the virus. And so if we opened our borders with just quarantining alone in terms of confining individuals to their rooms, it would be very difficult to attract tourists in that regard. And so in terms of our health and travel protocols, you can come into St. Kitts from a high-risk location, and you have a number of options open to you. COVID-19 certified hotels open to you, whereby you have the opportunity to vacation in place, whereby you are not confined to your room. However, you are confined to the property, to the hotel property, and you have access to pre-approved services on that property, and that includes food and beverage, access to the pool, and if there is a beach, access to the beach. That's the bare minimum in terms of vacation in place. And so if you're a returning national, you also have the opportunity to book at a COVID-19 certified hotel whereby you can have and can vacation in place. So if you're a returning national, you can opt to go to the Ocean Terrace Inn. The rate per night is cheaper. It's 35 US per night or 500 US dollars for the 14-day period. But you know before you come that you'll be confined to your room. We have a similar property just opened, the Bird Rock Apartment Complex. Again, you are confined to your room. But then you can also opt to go to the Royal St. Kitts Hotel, where you can vacation in place. You can opt to go to the Marriott Hotel. You can opt to go to Marriott Vacation Club or the Park Hyatt Hotel. That's in St. Kitts. In Nevis, you can opt to go to the Four Seasons Hotel, the Paradise Beach Hotel, or Golden Rock Hotel. And so you have a choice. If you're returning national, you actually have a choice, as to, where you can spend your vacation in place time period, which is 14 days, or your quarantine time period, 14 days.
So from your vantage point, there's no inconsistency in quarantine practices, as the call is suggesting.
No, it's a choice.
Okay.
You can be confined to your room, if you want, for that time period. The rate is lower, or you can vacation in place.
Someone was questioning.
However, the protocols are robust. So those hotels whereby you can vacation in place, you can access food and beverage, but the employees, they follow a robust set of protocols in terms of how they interact with you. They have to stand at a certain distance. They wear their mask, etc. The housekeepers, they do not offer, room service every day. There's a protocol. Each hotel property, they operate on utilizing a robust set of protocols, and the housekeeper must be properly attired before he or she, carries out or conducts the service. And so each hotel that's certified, their protocols were evaluated and checked, etc., before they were certified.
Well, I can testify to that. But in terms of the beach, though, the vacation in place, they allow you to, some hotels to go on the beach as you come within the first 7 days? Or
Yes, you can.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back.
If the beach is on the hotel
On the
property,
hotel.
where you can walk from your room to the
Okay.
beach and come back.
Okay, let's go back to the line. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, my dear.
Yes, I want to go online. Go on in the air with Mr. Liburd then.
Yes, you're live, but turn your equipment or your radio down. So I want.
Hold on. I'm close. I'm on my phone and my tablet is watching you.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay,
Hold on.
Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Hold on.
Yes.
Yes,
I want.
pleasant day.
Nice
A
to hear you.
pleasant good night to you, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my dear. Sounds
And
like my.
let me wish you, this is starting St. Thomas.
Sounds like my Newtown warrior from the
Right.
Yes, got to.
First, I must give God Almighty the thanks and the praise for bringing us this far by faith. Many have gone to the great beyond through this disease, including my cousin Val Parry. May his soul rest in peace, and all of those who passed to the great beyond through this virus. Secondly, let me say, season greeting to the CMO, Dr. Laws and her team, for such a tremendous job to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Laws, I get goosebumps every time I look at you and the team and listen to you all. You is such an awesome. May the Lord continue to bless you and the team and your family. Continue to build hedges around you all. To the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, I'm so proud of him. Prime Minister, this is coming from one of the supporters of you. I just want to thank God for you and your team, Unity. God bless you all. To my former Prime Minister, Dr. Kennedy Simmons, I like to say to Dr. Kennedy Simmons, season greetings to you and your family. God bless you, continue. And to my all-time constituency leader, Michael Oliver Powell, who I started out with, And this question was to me when I was joining his team, if I'll have on my hard shoes for campaigning. God bless you all. Mr. Liburd, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord face shine upon you, the Lord keep you. To the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, to all my family, my loved ones in St. Kitts and Nevis, I want to wish you all a Merry, Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Let's have a productive New Year. Follow the COVID precautions, and it's going to work. Just do what we have to do. I'm living in St. Thomas. The numbers are rising, but we just have to follow precautions, okay? God bless you all. God bless the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Love you all.
We love you more, my dear sister.
Thank you.
Trust and hope you will stay safe as well. Now, there was no template for dealing with this virus. There was nothing to guide us, and you had to formulate a strategy, a plan to fight it. Of course, in tandem with the CARFA and other health organizations, and of course WHO guidelines. So, what would you say are some lessons that you have learned from this is about almost a year
Yeah,
of fighting this? What lessons do you say you have learned?
Okay. We've learned a number of lessons over this.
Before you go there, let's take the lines are going. Let's take this call and then come back to the question. I'll keep that question. Call you live. Hello, caller. Hey, the caller. Just turn your radio, your equipment down.
Hello?
Yes, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, Lady Henry.
Hello?
How art thou? We're hearing you loud and clear.
Say that again?
Oh, you have your radio on, so you're getting the feedback. So just turn your radio.
Sorry, I'm turning it down. Turn it down.
Yes, you're live. I'm sorry. I took this voice for something else.
All right, no problem, no problem. I wish to congratulate all of you on the wonderful job you're doing, Dr. Laws and your crew, and the Prime Minister and the government in whole for what they have done to keep us safe so far. And I pray and ask God to continue the safety again. Now, you're talking about bringing in the vaccine next year and so on. Of course, we don't know who will be able to get it and whatever and so on. What will it cost us? I didn't hear you talk about any costs because I know that the testings are very expensive. So I just wonder about the cost of the vaccine. But continue to do your good work, and Patches, you continue also to take it, because my nephew just came out of quarantine, and he was at over at Frigate Bay at the Doctor, and he was happy as ever. He had a lovely time. So, it shows it depends on what you put into it is what you get out of it.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your input. Very good question. Costs.
A very good question. At this point in time, I can't answer that question in terms of what would be the cost to the people of the Federation. We've paid our down payment in terms of being able to access at least 20, enough for, coverage for a significant proportion of our Federation. But in terms of the cost to the people, that's a decision for cabinet, really. That's an early question.
Are you recommending it shouldn't be free?
No, I am not. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, but I have to recheck my facts. In the U.S. and the UK, I'm not sure the people are being charged.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll back check that. Yeah, but I don't think, they're being charged.
Okay.
So each country would have to make a decision in terms of that?
Certainly.
The cost, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's a very good question.
Yes. And it's
to be answered.
Yes, it's not your call, but I'm sure that the way team unity is going, I'm here plugging for the people now. I'm sure that the government would absorb, if not all, some of the costs. No doubt. Now, I want to sort of get back to a comment from a caller in relation to his comparison to his he alluded to the sandals issue in Grenada. And of course, we know what happened in St. Lucia in terms of the contact tracing and so on. But in St. Kitts, there are measures in place to not to avoid such an occurrence here. Am I not correct?
Yes, yes. All right. So basically, that's what I said that's what I meant when I said that we are monitoring the COVID-19 certified hotels in terms of their operations and the frontline workers in the hotels and their adherence to their protocols. Yeah. So some hotels, they have monitors that monitor the staff members. So you may have a supervisor in the food and beverage section, and they would observe the operations of the staff members in that department and ensure that they follow the protocols as stipulated. In terms of the housekeepers, they operate using protocols, and their supervisors, their role is to ensure that the housekeepers, they are properly attired before going into a room. When a guest checks out, the cleaning between rooms, the cleaning between guests, the cleaning of a room between guests. It's a robust set of protocols that are being followed in order to make sure that that room is sanitized before another individual comes in. And so if the frontline workers in the hotels adhere to the protocols, the risk of the frontline worker contracting the virus from a potentially positive high-risk tourist is minimal, or it's reduced. And so the risk of their taking it home and the community transmission is much reduced. And so here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we are collaborating, we are partnering with the management of the hotels, and we are monitoring what's happening in each setting.
And I think you monitor well there, your staff. Caller, you live.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes. You live?
Hello?
Yes, you're live at 9:30.
Hello, I'm back.
10:30. 10:30, sorry.
I'm back on again to
Yes.
ask another question. I know you said you couldn't answer the question about cost, but hello?
You have your equipment or your radio on, so you're getting that feedback, and just listen to your telephone.
Hello?
Yeah, just listen to the telephone. Forget the equipment or your
Yes,
radio.
my equipment is off.
Okay, so
Hello?
yes, go ahead. We're listening. We're hearing you loud and clear.
All right. I'm back on again to ask another question. My question before was about the cost, but I also want to know, will we have to take it? Because you were saying just now that there's no guarantee that we will not get the virus. So what are the benefits of having to take it? Like me, a person who has problems, I'm diabetic. What's the point of me putting more stuff in my body when I am happy with what I am now? I'm just being very careful not to be contagious to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Yes.
And
Before you go there, I'm sorry about that, Dr. Laws.
that's okay.
Okay. Since you had that train of thought, don't let me derail you.
Okay, all right. So the caller, she just shared that she's diabetic, and she's asking what are the benefits. So the benefit is significant, meaning of getting the vaccine, because the vaccine manufacturers and the data coming out of the trials, they assure us that the vaccine prevents you from becoming moderately to severely ill, and it reduces the mortality or your risk of dying. So as a diabetic, you are at an, how must I put it now? If you contract COVID-19 as a diabetic, if your blood sugar values aren't controlled, you are at risk of developing moderate to severe COVID-19 disease. And so the vaccine is an advantage because it prevents you getting severe disease and even dying. Now, I highlighted earlier some of the data gaps regarding the vaccine. However, we are assured that over the next 3 to 4 months, many of these questions will be answered. Because what is happening right now in the United Kingdom and the United States of America, thousands and thousands of persons are receiving the vaccine. They all have to download an app on their phone, and they have to communicate to the authorities their signs, their symptoms, and their experience. And so live data is being gathered in the United Kingdom and the USA regarding the vaccines. And so in a short time, many of these unanswered questions will be answered. And then once this information becomes available, we will share this with the public.
As you mentioned that, and you obviously you've led me into another question, and the AG always touts how we have advanced in information technology and so on, and you've mentioned the monitoring devices even at the establishment, and in some areas or some countries they have these tracking devices. As a matter of fact, when I was doing the form online and they had to surrender your telephone number and they wanted a cell phone number, I thought it was going towards that model of tracking people. And someone writes here that Antigua ordered 200 bracelets and have another 500 in order, and each bracelet costs just over $500. Having the bracelets could have been rented out to each person at $100, and within 5 times of use, it would have paid for itself. But what in terms of tracking and moving away from this strict quarantine, is that a possibility down the road?
Okay, so as you are aware, we would have tried home quarantine at the beginning, but I think we failed at that. In terms of, we used to get calls, oh, this individual should be in quarantine, but they'll be seen downtown and they're seen in town on every day. This person is seen on 4th Street, Church Street, etc. And so we failed in terms of home quarantine. Now, at present, individuals have applied to have their homes evaluated, and once they meet their criteria, you can quarantine at home. However, you must have Commissioner of Police prescribed security. Yes? Now, but that comes at a cost. But persons have even tried to come out of quarantine even with that security facility in place. And so for now, our thinking is really not to go back to home quarantine without the security facility at this time. Now, in terms of tracking devices, we have a mobile application that's almost ready to be launched and utilized, whereby it has geofencing capabilities, and so there's going to be an alert if you were to say go outside of your quarantine zone. But then that has its limitations, because you can easily put down your phone, and then it has its limitations. And so yes, there's also consideration for utilizing the bracelet, but each of its in of itself, you can't depend on the app alone. You won't be able to depend on the bracelet alone, based on historical data and the experience of other islands, who have utilized these options.
What do you say to someone who would say, well, why are you broad brushing me? Because 2 persons in the early days didn't conform. You broad brush everyone.
No, because up to recently, someone was in quarantine with security. The security guard is at the back, and he took off in his vehicle, and he had a fine time. And this is recent. So, but recently, even in other islands, we share information amongst islands, and the experience in Grenada, I think, somebody breached the quarantine terms and was trying to escape. Had a visitor come in, and the visitor was leaving and fell and broke a limb, sustained a fracture. And so it's the experience of of our colleagues in other
Well, and
islands.
there are penal or punitive measures that can be taken, and there's some punitive measures within there,
But
so you can at
it's
least
people
prevent
are
it.
still breaching. People are still breaching the. Just recently, a young lady visited, I think, Cayman Islands. A pre-med student visited the islands, and she broke quarantine and went to look at a race, and she was actually fined and imprisoned.
Well,
That's
so
in Cayman Islands. So it's
sends a
the.
message. Okay, let's go back to the lines at 20 before 10 o'clock. Call you live.
Hi, good night, Patrice.
Good night, sir.
Hey, how you doing? All well?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm blessed. Yeah, I want to ask a question. I have two friends who are quarantining at the Jakarta Hotel. One of them is scheduled to quarantine is going to up on Christmas Day, and the other one is on the 2nd of January. Now, if I remember correctly, I was listening to one of the briefing, and they were saying that if the quarantine period is on a holiday, chances are the person may not be able to come out of quarantine because the labs would be closed and they would not be able to get the results. Can Dr. Laws expound on some more on that? Thank you.
Thanks for your input, Dr. Laws.
Yeah, very good question. And I think it was just today the management of the Next Generation Lab would have confirmed that the Next Gen Lab will be closed on Christmas Day. That's December the 25th. And the lab will be closed on New Year's Day. That would be Friday, January the 1st, 2021. However, the lab will be opened on Saturday the 26th, and the lab will be opened on Saturday, January the 2nd, 2021. There may be, no, there will be an additional cost to the lab fee for processing of samples on the official holidays.
In terms of government moving to their own testing facilities or other facilities, are there any possibility of that coming on stream?
Of course, a very good question. The Ministry of Health has acquired a molecular machine, and so the JNF General Hospital Laboratory is in the process of building out its testing capabilities with regards to COVID-19. We are experiencing a little challenge in terms of recruiting the required human resource for health personnel in terms of, molecular biologists, etc. But the Ministry of Health, so that there would be would have the capabilities of testing for COVID-19. In terms of our partnering with other private laboratories, yes, that's also taking place. And if I'm not mistaken, there is another private entity who is acquiring a machine. And so we are hopeful that they will come on stream in short order.
For ordinary people like myself, can you break down the molecular biologist? Is there a simpler term for the ordinary man on the outside for us? If there's none.
It's just a laboratory technologist with the competencies and skills to carry out the testing required to identify this new coronavirus. Basically,
we'll find them around St. Kitts, I'm sure.
No, we are looking. It's regional. I'm not aware of there being such an individual on island or in the federation, and so we are looking within the region to recruit someone. So I'm hoping that if anybody who is listening.
Okay. What about the other labs that will come? So you're saying that they'll need these particular
Yes. Yeah.
skilled staff.
Yes.
Trained staff.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go back to the lines. At 17 before 11 o'clock, call you live.
Good night to the Honorable Ian Patches Liburd. Good night.
Good night, my dear brother.
And good night to Miss Dr. Hazel Laws,
Good night, sir.
one of our star wall for the corona in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. I just tune in. Just come from the hospital, put break off in me and a cash a break off in me hand in my elbow. He give me some pain. They tell me they can't do nothing about it really, so they give me some painkillers. So I just come back here to see if everything gonna be alright. Tomorrow I go to a surgeon and see what he can do for me. I hurting me real bad.
What happened?
No.
Cattle fall you? I throw you down?
No. When I was thinking, most of the tree them up in the mountain is cash now, you know.
Okay.
So he's cash a tree to end. I was trying to clear an area to try one. And me have put up on a cash. But my elbow area, man, he hurting me, give me some pain right now. Anyway, I hope when I take the painkiller, get up. No, this last, I hear now kind of rumor with the vaccine. And when I put on my television and go on my phone, YouTube or whatsoever, I go up on social media, I see people taking the vaccine black and white. I see some place in America now, they're taking the vaccine and the frontline workers taking it. And I don't know the negativity of us down here saying the vaccine got in chip. And some people say they're not going to take none because it got in a chip and where we're going to do, they're going to mark you, the mark of the beast and all this kind of thing. As you, as a professional, and study, as a doctor, I want to tell you the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis what this vaccine is all about. And it will important to keep with the COVID and how long the vaccine can save on your refrigerator, or whatsoever. Because too much negative things, circling around. And it's very scary. So I just want to wish the government all the best for the budget, the Honorable Prime Minister and his team, cabinet, for the budget, good budget. And I'm looking forward that in 2020, I hope this coronavirus that gives us a break, give the world a break. Because when you affect the whole world, affect America and the European country and all those things, we don't get affected too. Not because we ain't got it much. So I just want to wish you all the best. And good job you're doing, Dr. Laws. And continue to do what you're doing. Patches, you have a wonderful night. And I want to just wish Straight Talk all the best for 2020. Because I believe 21. Because I believe that Patches is the last program.
Yes.
And I want to wish the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis a happy Christmas when it comes. And a most prosperous New Year. And everybody stick to the protocol because the borders open and we got to protect ourselves. You all have a wonderful night. May God bless you and keep you.
Have a wonderful night as well, my dear brother. As I think we're gonna wind down because we get a little comfortable here. Doctor, you seem very comfortable yourself. All right, but it's 12 before 11 o'clock and we're gonna wind down shortly. But I was going to ask you earlier in terms of the lessons we have learned thus far from this COVID-19 pandemic. Perhaps you can elaborate on those.
Okay. Well, before I go into that question, just to comment on what the caller just spoke about, there is a bit of misinformation circulating regarding vaccines. And so it's going to be important for the Ministry of Health to disseminate all the facts as we know it regarding the vaccines so that everybody in the population can be informed and so everybody can make an informed decision in terms of, their choice in taking the vaccine.
Yeah. And the lady called earlier. I
Yes.
don't think we addressed the other part of her question.
Yes, so it's not compulsory.
Right.
It's you're gonna be informed, provided the information, the relevant information. We are going to be transparent and give you the facts. And as individuals, you'll be called upon to make an informed decision as to
It's your choice.
taking the
Okay.
vaccine or not.
Okay.
Yes, and so
Let's take this call. I'm sorry about that. Let's take this call. Call you live.
Yes, a very pleasant good evening, Dr. Patches, even though I'm late, and good evening, Dr. Laws. Nice program.
good evening.
And you have been doing a wonderful job, and your whole team, you all are doing a great job. Now, a quick question I have for you, with a comparison. Now, we know in the prison term, when a dangerous fugitive escape prison, they would send out a message and say, well, Tom has escaped the prison, and be careful because he is armed and dangerous. They warn us not to go to hold him or apprehend him or her. And it's the same thing with this COVID-19 here. Like you said earlier that somebody escaped from quarantine. That means when the guard went to the back, he escaped, he come out and he went in his car, and wherever he went, he went. Now, in medical terms, to me, that person who escaped and went in the car, God and he only knows how many persons' face he went up in close to, and then breathing in the face. So I would consider he to be a healthy, dangerous fugitive. Now, what is the penalty when you catch people like him who did that? What is the penalty? And if there is no penalty, why not penalty for people who do them kind of things? I'll listen up here. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas and have a prosperous and bright New Year, and all the best for Straight Talk and the whole universe.
Thank you very much. The same to you, my brother. You want to address that, Lady Laws?
Yes, there is a penalty because at the time we were guided by the emergency powers regulations, and at this time the COVID-19 legislation comes into force, and so yes, there is a penalty. I don't have the law in front of me. I can't say what it is, but yes, there is a penalty for someone who would break the terms and conditions of quarantine.
Yeah, we were going to the lessons learned as we're going to wind down.
Okay, and so we've been fighting this pandemic. We started working, I think it was the 23rd of January, and now we are at the 21st of December, 2020, sorry. Now, the lessons learned. Well, one of the first lessons we have learned is that the world is like a village. It's very interconnected. And because of globalization, the virus circled the globe in a very short time. It left China, it made its way across Europe, into North America, down to South America, and into the Caribbean. And it has affected almost every country in the world. This small, invisible virus, it really has crippled health systems and economies in a very short space of time. And we are speaking about first world countries and third world countries. So for me, that was significant. Another lesson for us, the actions of everyone in this context of COVID-19 is very, very important to our survival. So in this circumstance, one individual who may be careless and who may not adhere to protocols can be responsible for community spread that can impact each and every one of us. It can impact the entire nation. So one individual who is acting irresponsibly can lead an entire nation into community transmission. And so we have each of us, we have an individual and a collective responsibility to protect each other. Another lesson we have learned is that the all of government and the all of society approach is effective when we are faced with a crisis of this magnitude. In other words, bringing all hands on deck is very important in dealing with this crisis of this magnitude. And for me, I've also learned that in a small country, small in size, small in terms of population size, small in terms of economy, our employing simple public health measures, simple public health interventions, like educating our population, like contact tracing and testing, have been effective in containing the virus. Very, very important, and we will continue in so doing. So some simple measures that have proven to work over time, we've employed them and we've been successful.
Just before we wrap as well, in terms of the guidelines from here on for the Christmas season, we know the protocols are in place. Do you want to amplify any part of the guidelines in terms of advice to give to those who want to have events, those who like the parties, whether it's a home party or otherwise?
All right, so yes, we are in the festive season. This is usually our carnival season. It's Christmas time, and this is the season when you have family functions, family lunches, dinners, etc. And so that lends itself for groups of persons gathering. In the context of COVID-19, I want us to be very careful as we approach gatherings. Make sure not to let your guard down, and make sure to have your face mask on. You only take it off when eating and drinking. Make sure to have maintain good hand sanitation. Make sure you use your hand sanitizer. Keep your hands clean. Be careful when greeting loved ones. Try and stay away from the usual hug and touch. Yeah. Just try and greet each other verbally this Christmas. So for this Christmas, we are lucky in St. Kitts and Nevis. The risk of exposure to the virus is still relatively low compared to the neighboring islands and further afield. However, let us not take it for granted. Our borders are open. We've had a number of cases recently. Let us not let our guards down. More and more persons are coming back on board in terms of wearing our face mask when in public places and when we are attending any functions. Maintain good hand hygiene, maintain a physical distance of 3 to 6 feet when in a gathering. Yes? And try and avoid the very large crowds. Just keep it small and manageable.
Okay, I'll take this and make this my last caller for the night. Caller, you live.
Patches, good evening, and let me just make this quickly. First of all, let me wish you, Patches, all the best for the Christmas and the rest of the year, and for a productive and successful 2021. Let me also wish Dr. Laws, which I want to commend, salute, and praise for her excellent leadership, her team, and to encourage her to just continue to fight, because this battle we must win. As long as we are in it together, we are going to come out on top. So I would like to wish her all the best, and by extension to wish our proud country, nation, our people the very best. Let me just ask a quick question for Dr. Laws to expound, because I think this is very, very important. And this is in reference to the immune system, and just for her to expound how important it is to consume vitamin C and vitamin D, which is an excellent and powerful tool to strengthen the immune system. Thank you and good night. God bless you.
God bless you as well, Dr. Laws.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I am thankful that he highlighted same, because you just asked what can our people continue to do even in this festive season, and I also want to add that you need to continue boosting your own immune system, and by extension, he suggested two vitamins that are essential: vitamin C, vitamin D. You can get it naturally, and you can supplement that by actually taking the actual vitamins. So that's important. So boosting your immune system, vitamins, supplements, making sure you have an adequate, well-rounded diet that can be plant-based, and resting, making sure you get adequate rest, adequate hydration, drinking enough water, managing your stress levels. These are all factors that will help in terms of boosting your own immune system. So if perchance you're exposed to the virus, you will be asymptomatic. You won't have any adverse symptoms.
There's an email here before we wrap, Dr. Laws, which reads, and I quote, "Get all your vaccine from Russia. It is the best, safest, and cheapest." What's your reaction to that? That information you have?
The information I have is that St. Kitts and Nevis is a part of the COVAX facility, whereby, and along with other member states, Caribbean member states, and just participating in this facility gives us access to the leading vaccine candidates on the market. And so we've done our part in terms of what's required, and so we'll have access to X number of vaccines once they become available.
Okay.
And they're efficacious. Efficacious vaccines once they become available.
So they're effective?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we'll have to wind down.
Yes.
Lady Laws, it's past our bedtime. We want to apologize to our Straight Talk family. I intended to provide some time as well tonight for us to send out our greetings. It doesn't look quite possible right now. But as we embark upon 2021, and in 2020 was the year of vision. We anticipated so many things in 2020, and here came the coronavirus. And we're still in a state of unpredictability, uncertainty, and complexity, I dare add. And I keep saying that 2021 is another year, and ironically or coincidentally or otherwise, it's the 21st year in the 21st century. I don't know what that means. But as we embark upon 2021, what message as the CMO or as Dr. Laws would you like to leave with the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis?
Wow, very good question. For me, as we approach the festive season, it's always a time where one can become reflective. So as we reflect on the last few months of the year and all that we've been through, we've been impacted by COVID-19 that has changed all our lives drastically. However, there are some positives here in St. Kitts and Nevis. the risk of exposure to the virus remains relatively low. And for me, that's something that we can be thankful for, even at Christmas time, in the context of COVID-19. When you look at some neighboring islands where there are, restrictions at this time of year, in terms of not being able to go and, get your Christmas supplies and even celebration. Here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, I think we need to acknowledge that we are in quite a good place in terms of our risk of exposure to the virus being relatively low. We can move around and we can have a positive attitude, an attitude of gratitude this Christmas 2020. And then there is hope. The science have given us, have shown us the light at the end of the pandemic tunnel. If I could use that term, in the production of 2 vaccine candidates within phenomenal time. Yes? And so I think that brings us hope that 2021 would probably be much better than it has been over the past few months. So I think for Christmas we can be happy, we can, be, thankful for where we are at in terms of containing the first wave and going through a second wave with relatively low risk of exposure to the virus at Christmas time. And then there is some hope that in 2021, with the vaccine rollout and with our expecting more data, more information regarding these vaccines, by the end of 2021, we should be resuming some normalcy to our lives, whatever that new normal looks like. So there's hope.
And let's keep hope alive, as you said, my Street Talk family. And a nice note on which to end. And we are expecting, based on the proposition of Dr. Laws, some level of new normalcy, if that's what she said. And we look to God. We thank God for life, number one. And I thank God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I do apologize for the shortened version tonight through no fault of ours. We thank Dr. Hazel Laws, our Chief Medical Officer, for agreeing to be here tonight. We got a little comfortable and perhaps we would have been here all night, but we just have to go. And my Street Talk family, I want to take the opportunity to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Stay safe, stay healthy. We look forward to 2021 with much hope. And I want to thank all the callers. I want to thank the emailers. I want to thank the many listeners on ZIZ Radio, the National Broadcasting Corporation, on Facebook, on social media. I see my friends there in Mexico, Cancun in Mexico, as well, saying hello. Those in Texas, those in New York, all over the world, wherever you are. Those in the UK too, on board, and to my Cancun. I said Cancun, Mexico. It is Douglas and his family, and to all of you who were with us for this year, 2020, in spite of all the difficulties. You are the ones who make Straight Talk, who made Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big thank you. We will connect sometime in early next year. I'll give you a heads up, my Straight Talk family. Well, until we connect, have yourselves the best of what's left of 2020. Do everything in moderation, and at least we always remember to keep our Lord in our prayers. And I'm going to leave you with these Christmas greetings, and this is a song that I wrote some time ago, And all I can do is tell you in song, a Merry Christmas to all of you. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Straight Talk for another edition, the first edition in 2021. Be good to yourselves. Bye.
This is a Christmas flower. And this is how the Christmas go. Yes, my friend, yes, my friend, yes, my friend. It's Christmas time again. A Merry Christmas, yo. A Merry, Merry Christmas. This is a Merry, Merry Christmas to everyone.